D.C. lawmakers reportedly narrowing focus on former Obama aides at the center of a shocking surveillance scandal. Among them, Susan Rice, accused of unmasking Trump campaign associates in coded intel reports, as Samantha Power, our UN ambassador, reportedly sought to unmask more than 260 Americans. So what happens next? Here to break it all down, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano.
One of the more significant things you just said is Samantha Power, our UN ambassador, which is the job she had at the time.
Why does the UN ambassador need to unmask Americans' names?
$64,000 question, and we don't know the answer. So when the intelligence community gathers raw data, it could be copies of keystrokes on a computer, or it could be the digital version of a telephone call.
Right.
Doesn't have an identifier in there. So you and I are talking. It has the words we say, but it doesn't say Ducey or Napolitano. Unmasking is adding the names so that you know who's having the conversation. So unmasking, it can only be done for legitimate national security purposes. Susan Rice had a top national security clearance because she was the president's national security advisor.
Sure.
So she can do all the unmasking she wants, but she can't pass it on to someone who doesn't have a security clearance. So we know, for example, that within a day of her receiving unmasked material, conversations showing who the people were that were talking, a transcript of a conversation between General Flynn, who was in Trump Tower, and Ambassador Kislyak, who was in D.C., showed up in the Washington Post.
Ooh.
Fast forward to today, we now have learned that Samantha Power, President Obama's last UN ambassador, who has nothing to do with national security, who doesn't have the national security clearance, who isn't entitled to unmasking, received unmaskings over 260 times. Question, to whom did she pass it on?
Sure.
And why did they give it to her when, under her job description, she's a diplomat, she's not involved in intelligence or law enforcement or national security? How did she get it?
Sure, and we don't know for sure whether or not Susan Rice passed this on to the Washington Post, but we do know that somebody wound up with the stuff, so there's a possibility she said, that's interesting. What do you want to do with that, assistant? And we don't know what the assistants did.
Look,
I mean, at this point, this goes to the larger point of D.C. is now investigating this. It looks like this could turn into a criminal probe.
That's what I've been arguing. I commend the Senate, excuse me, Intelligence Committee for looking at this. But quite frankly, Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, should be looking at this because there are potential felonies here. Somehow, top secret information, yet again, we saw this happen with Hillary Clinton, in the Obama administration, got into the hands of people who weren't entitled to it, and from there it made its way to the press.
And clearly all these leaks were intended to sandbag the Trump administration just as they were getting started.
These are all leaks of people involved with President-elect Donald Trump in Trump Tower from the time he was elected until the time he was inaugurated last year and early this year.
Can you imagine had that happened on George W.'s watch as incoming President Obama?
No, I can't imagine the Bush people doing that, but there would have been an unbelievable uproar, more than there is today.
All right. Judge, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Stevie.
All right.